So after going through so many controversies for the past 2 years, I finally did it. I saw Snow White. I have already seen the mixed reviews online, but I didn't care. I was curious enough to go ahead and check this out, okay? Because I'm a millennial girl who grew up with these movies, and I just can't help but be curious and want to go check them out for myself, despite some mixed reviews. Let's start with the positives. I think, just getting the obvious out the way, Rachel Zegler is a talent. She has the voice of an angel, but I do think her performance in here, just as this iconic character, is serviceable, you know? I feel like it's nothing remarkable. It is nothing terrible. And I constantly have to keep in mind that this is for the children. Yes, it's for us millennials as well, but it's also for our children, those of you who have kids. I don't have kids, but I keep that in mind. So I think keeping that in mind, it kind of helps me to manage the expectations of this, because I do think kids might like this. They probably won't love this, but I think it's fine if you are a mother or father that is looking to take out the kids this weekend for something to do, and you guys decide to go to the movies. Go watch Snow White. As for the other big performance is gadot, however you pronounce it. She plays the evil queen, and I gotta say, I saw some comments online criticizing her performance, saying that she comes off as not a strong point of this film. She comes off kind of wooden, and I might have a hot take. I think she was one of the better parts of this movie, because here's my take on it. Her character is this evil queen who's also a stepmom to Snow White. And on page, it's very paper thin. You know, she doesn't really have that much to do. She doesn't have that much going on. She is a stepmom who is super jealous of her stepdaughter for being more beautiful than she is. That is not a lot going on the page. So if you don't have a lot going on the page, what can you do with your performance to kind of make it your own, to kind of make it juicy, to kind of make it entertaining in a way? And I think I would say she doesn't play it wooden. I think she actually kind of tries a little bit too hard. But in this case, I get it because of all the things that I just said. It's a very paper thin type of role on the page. So if she had to choose to kind of just play it as such as it's written, or doing what she does in this movie, I could understand her interpretation of this character. I think there are some scenes where it's kind of fun to watch her trying to be this iconic super villain, you know? She gets a villain song, something that does not happen in the original, and I've already forgotten how it goes, but I do remember her performance of it, and it's kind of like overdoing it, and she's trying to be evil, and I was like, this is kind of entertaining for what she has to kind of deal with, playing a character that is just kind of paper thin. I also took note of the opening number in this, and I will say I think quite a few of the songs, the way that they're performed for the film, were well done, even though I don't think any of these songs are particularly memorable, but that doesn't mean that they weren't well done in the movie. And I also took note of the costumes. I saw a lot of them being very different, because there are several shots in here of the different townspeople, and all their costumes look pretty different. So I think that took a lot of hard work. I want to speak more praises to Gal Gadot. So at a certain point in this movie, as you know, she turns into this creepy old woman, and that is when the movie got just a little bit more exciting to me, because I'm about to get into it in my cons/negatives of this movie. At a certain point, when the old lady is doing her plan and with the evil poison apple and is trying to kill Snow White, I sat in and I was locked in just a little bit more, because at this point, I'm telling you, the evil queen, there are times where I was wondering, why isn't she in this movie more? Why aren't we seeing her, you know, tripping out in the castle, trying to come up with plans? Let's go ahead and move on to my negatives of this. And a big con of this for me are the dwarves. Okay, so I think we all kind of knew this by watching those trailers, that was gonna be a minus in a lot of people's take away from this movie, but I gotta speak my heart about this. I know because of some comments by Peter Dinklage that the whole dwarves thing was reworked, and I thought that was such a disservice to this. I feel upset. And I remember seeing an interview with a little person actor talking about this, saying, you know, it's about the characters. So now what you have done, you have taken away such a great opportunity for up and coming rising stars from the little people community in not getting to play these roles in this iconic movie, because Snow White is an iconic character. You know, that was the first feature film in animation, so you have to put respect on that movie's name. I love Peter Dinklage. I mean, Game of Thrones was my life, is my life. He's fantastic, he's a legend. But I think that comment was kind of coming from a rather privileged place, saying those comments. And I understand what he's saying, like, little people can play more than just dwarves. But when you are making Snow White, a huge part of that iconic movie are those iconic characters, which are the dwarves. So why would you not want real people to be playing those roles? I just wish it was one of those times where Disney was just like, we don't care about your comments, legendary actor Peter Dinklage. We're going to cast real actors to play these roles. That was such a misfire to me. I hate the way that they look. They look like very weird looking woodsy CGI characters. Feels more so like a misfire because I feel like these CGI dwarves get too many scenes in here. I think for the middle part of this, they are in quite a few numbers with Snow White, and I think it was probably one too many, because it felt like it was just bringing the momentum of the movie down for me. I didn't really care, because I just didn't really care about these CGI characters. They bring in some laughs here and there. I chuckled maybe once or twice, but it was not enough for me to be able to justify just how much they are in this movie. And I think one of the drawbacks for me for these live action takes of these Disney movies is the fact that this feels like this should have stayed an animated movie. Now, unless you're going to make a retelling the way that they did the one with Charlize Theron and Kristen Stewart, a movie that is not remarkable, but I remember enjoying that movie a lot more, but it has such a different interpretation of it, and it felt more grounded, even though it did have some magical effects to it. There were real people playing characters. But in this one, some of the CGI in the backgrounds, they just looked too fake to me. And then I already talked about the dwarves, and this just felt like, this feels like this should just stay in the animation realm. So what are we even doing here? Oh, I know what we're doing here. We're in the hopes of making another $1 billion, because several of these live action films have made $1 billion. Shame on us. There were scenes in here that made it feel like I was watching a stage play, which, no offense to stage plays, they're great and all, but I was watching a film. And this happens particularly in a sequence in the forest. Suddenly this red artificial light comes on, and it just kind of caught me off guard. This just feels like, you know what, this would look cool probably in an animation film. And I remember having certain issues like this with the Aladdin live action all those years ago. It just doesn't really translate well to me via film. And now it is time for my rating. I'm gonna give this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I was thinking about a 3, but then a 3 and above is a fresh to me, and I just can't get this movie up to a fresh. I can't do it. But then I think about the singing and the production design and the costume design, and I do think those were well done. And I am on an island by myself where I didn't mind Gal Gadot's interpretation of the Evil Queen. I think she was entertaining in this, so I'm giving some positives for that as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me in my review for Snow White today. If you go watch it, please let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. I think we'll be hearing about this all weekend long as people are talking negatively and positively about this, but I'm curious to know what you think. If you guys are enjoying my content, please go ahead and hit subscribe, hit that like button. It really helps me out with the whole engagement thing of Google/YouTube, and I'll catch you guys next time.